So I want to start with Liz, who has the benefit of seeing a lot of what you're trying to do with ABM because it comes through and through Marketo, and they asked Marketo, what can you do to help us? So I guess Liz, in that sort of starting us off here as we go, a little bit about how do you recommend people get started with ABM, and even segueing into how do you start selecting accounts for this, right?
Okay, good question. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for having me. Good to be here. Okay, so when I think about getting started with ABM programs, for me there are three main components to it. The first is about targeting those accounts. So, the accounts and then how you group those accounts together. I'll come back to that in a little bit so that I can answer the second half of your question. The second key step in the process for me is engagement. So again, you can break that down into creating the content that you're going to use to engage the folks that you're targeting through your ABM programs, and also, of course, orchestrate programs across all of your channels, using that account as fuel to drive that engagement with those target accounts. And then finally, for me, and this is always near and dear to my heart, is the measurement piece. So how are you going to track and record the progress that you're making there? And that's key, because a lot of people are putting a lot of time and energy into ABM right now. You need to be able to prove that it's working, tweak it along the way, and report back that you're getting the results that you hoped to see. So to recap then, target, engage, and measure. Now let's drill in on the target bit for a sec. Targeting for me is, okay, let me break that down into multiple parts again. The first step is work with your sales team, right? I talk internally at Marketo, it's not necessarily ABM, it's ABSM, right? This is account-based sales and marketing, we're all in it together. So I think that's key. First step, work with your sales team. I think developing your ideal customer profile, ICP. Get that right, or as right as you can. You can use your existing customer data to help you do that. Then figure out the segmentation around that. So can you group those accounts together? Are there commonalities or common denominators, be they by geo, be they by vertical, however you want to group them together? And then you can use technology, right? There's tons and tons of tools out there to help you, both at an account level, really basic, Dun & Bradstreet, LinkedIn, Hoover's, Science, there are dozens of them. Then on the predictive side and on the scoring side, you've got things like LeadSpace, Mintigo, Everstring, lots there too. And then, yes, the other tools that are out there from a competitive perspective, if you're trying to understand which of your target accounts might be using a competitor solution, there are things like Datanyze, Ghostery, all of those things. So again, 4 key steps within that process alone, but underpinning all of it is working really, really closely with sales at each one of those steps.
So one quick follow-up for you, Liz, is, where do you, you have a lot of people probably coming to you and saying, oh, what about ABM? And if you were to cast where people are in tech, right, across the sectors, where would you feel like people are right now on ABM across so people have a sense of where they are ranking, in that pursuit now?
That's a great question. My personal view on this is that probably all of us in the room have been doing ABM without necessarily calling it ABM for a very long time, right? The principles behind this are not new. I think now we have tools and technology available to us to allow us to scale and do that in a more efficient manner. But I think everybody's on the journey at some level.
So I'll come back to Liz as we go here. I wanted to pass over to Mathilde here. And Mathilde, you've been on a big journey as far as marketing automation and ABM and generally trying to get insight into your pipe and your opportunities. And so as we've talked with Mathilde, I think it's worth her backing up a bit about the journey you've been on overall, and that you ended up at ABM as an application of that journey of understanding marketing a bit better. And so maybe put I know that a little bit of context setting about how you've gotten here with ABM as the application. So I wanted to sort of let you tell that story a bit. And
exactly.
I know you have some slides, so I'm going to let you.
Oh, thank you.
Pass that.
Yeah. So indeed, ABM is today a pillar of our marketing strategy. However, it has been a journey to go there. And I will introduce what we use, the BDM team and field marketing team in EMEA and everywhere worldwide, the ABM dashboard. But I think it's important for everyone to understand that at the beginning, at the starting point has been first back to 2015 in our case, to build really a data-driven transformation, because we are a 20 years old company, we are a data management, cloud enterprise software company, and we had to apply to ourselves what we were preaching to our customers. So we've started a marketing data-driven transformation that started in first to get the data marketing foundation right, because we were facing different issues. First of all, we didn't have a complete view of our customer. It was really partial. The data were already fragmented across 15 different systems and applications, so we were not able to answer our sales rep what's happening with my account across those different applications. We were also not able at the time to get the product interest view of our customers and the relationship between different individuals, because our solution and marketing application are more lead-centric than account-centric. So we were facing all those issues, and we decided, thanks to the leadership of our CMO, to start this transformation. Because she has been first able to convince the board that a data-driven marketing organization can bring value in our company journey. And so then we built those 5 foundations first. The first one has been to collect and connect the data. We are using 3 main sources of data, which are Salesforce, the CRM, Marketo for the automation, and Adobe, which is a very important front in our marketing stack. And the first step has been to build and connect together all those cloud solutions with integration solution. And the second step, of course, is to make sure when you connect different sources of data that you manage the data quality, because you may have a lot of duplicates or bad data at this stage. So we decided to set up some data quality management processes and tools. Then we decided to enrich our data, because our data were never complete. This is where Priority Engine, for example, enter in the story. Demand Base for the IP reverse tracking, or Dun & Bradstreet for the firmographic data. And then we decided to extend the usage of the data. Historically, we were segmented as any traditional B2B vendor by geography, by job function, by language. But we've started to store and capture product interest data based on the web traffic, the web interest, the product page view, or the asset consumed on Marketo, or the forms that people were filling based on the campaign. And since we are targeting by product interest, we have multiplied by 3 to 4 the customer engagement on our campaign. And last but not least, the fifth pillar has been to manage the governance of everything. One resource, marketing resource, that has been critical in this journey has been a guy called Anish, who is the marketing performance manager. He's really good in Marketo and in Adobe, and he's the guy in charge of managing our KPI, our data quality, making sure that we have good numbers of fulfilled fields, or managing the duplicates, percentage tolerance, things like that. So it has been, first of all, the 5 steps we did, and then we decided to, when we get back confidence in our data, we were able to do a good qualitative reporting. However, we were not at the level we wanted. We wanted to be more agile, to be more performance, and to give to our teams tools that they can use and account-based. So we built what we call the account-based marketing dashboard. This is a dashboard that allows us to see which accounts are visiting or interacting with us on the different touch points by territory or by account name. It gives us a great platform to communicate between the BDM's team, the field marketing's team, and the sales account manager, because we have this 360 view of what's happening at the same time in Marketo, in Salesforce, and based on the external sources we have, the geolocalization thanks to the IP, etc. So that's the results. I mean, the tool that the BDM are in charge to manage daily with their sales rep to have this account-based marketing view today.
That's terrific. I mean, it's an incredible journey you've been on. You talked a little bit about how important it was to get down to the product interest level, right? And when you're doing it the ABM, it's kind of those laws of small numbers that's kind of a big part of that. Or how do you have a very small number of people to market to? How do you get down to that granular level of what their product interests are? How have you been able to get down to that level of understanding at an individual level what their interests are at a product level, and then how do the salespeople respond? Do they use that data? I mean, tell us a bit about that.
So we have both views. So we have the account view. We know even if the people are anonymous, we are able to understand, thanks to this dashboard, what is the product interest, most product interest of one account. Capturing the data of the web page visited, mostly solution or products. And thanks to Marketo, we have the more granular individual personal information about their product interest based on the traffic, but web traffic, but also the asset consumed or the form fulfilled that or the email they reacted to, etc. So in this dashboard, we have at the bottom, we can identify the buying team. At Informatica, we know that 7 to 8 people are involved in the purchasing of one of our solutions. So it's not about just tracking one or influencing one individual. This is really about having this global view of who is the buying team involved. Sorry about that. In the journey. So we have the two views at account level, interest at account level or interest at individual level when we get the explicit data about them.
Terrific. Thank you very much. So I'm going to switch over to Nikki at Rapid7 here, who is responsible for, if you thought your job was complex, has Rapid7 marketing across EMEA and APAC. We've talked a bit about, ABM presents both data and account insight challenges. I think we're sort of interested about your progression with ABM. And for those of you who don't know Rapid7, a little bit of a legendary sales force. Globally about how aggressive they are. A little bit about how do you go about getting good signal into that ABM and transferring it into that sales team, and just about the journey you've been on.
Yeah, sure. So Rapid7, we're a data security analytic company, and we have always kind of been doing a bit of ABM, so I completely agree with what Liz was saying earlier. I think most people are doing it to an extent, or maybe they don't even know they're doing it, but it's kind of rounding it off and really focusing on set accounts, and that's what we really focused on this past kind of 8 months. Where we were kind of building up these lists and really working with the sales teams to help them identify who we want to be speaking to, and then why just to focus on a set amount. Once we had these lists together, so they were built from a mixture of business intel, data we already had on our systems, and then sales intelligence as well for where they wanted to kind of, what accounts they wanted to focus on as well. So it's really important that they had an influence right from the start as well. When we had a look at all of the accounts that we'd built up, all the lists that we were calling our top 100 lists, so they all had 100 each, we looked through those to see where our gaps were, and we found out that contact acquisition was one of our biggest places where we really needed to do more. So probably, I think it was around 60% of those, we had like 1 or 2 contacts, and were they the right people? We've got different solutions for vulnerability management and application security, so we need to be speaking to people in different areas of the IT security teams as well. So increasing our breadth into those accounts was really key for us. and that's where we really saw, because we use Priority Engine and across Australia, and that's where we started our journey with the business intelligence piece, and then into EMEA as well. And that really helped us to just to build up those contacts. So we've only been using Priority Engine for, I think, we started in February in Australia, and just last month in EMEA, and we've downloaded over 10,000 contacts from that around network security, which has been fantastic. So it's kind of done the job with the content acquisition and continues to kind of help us build that up. And it's not just having those contacts there in the right accounts, which is great, brilliant. We know who we need to speak to now, but it's having the understanding exactly what they want to talk about. So we've done different campaigns based on the things they're looking at. So right time, right place. We've been talking about that kind of all morning. So that's really key. And the content as well. I think Alan was speaking about this initially in the beginning sessions, but having that right content to deliver. And I know we were talking about in DAC, they like to have a lot more of that content, so making sure that you've got the right places for the right regions as well that you're targeting. We did several different campaigns to start with. So we've got lead nurtures set up and product nurtures set up for our different solutions. So when people are interested in vulnerability management, they go through a vulnerability management flow. So we talk about what we can kind of offer people there. And then more targeted around those top accounts for our ABM stuff, we uploaded the individual lists from all of these account managers into the Priority Engine, so they had their own profile. And we were then able to directly message these people with personalised communications coming directly from the sales team, because at Rapid7, they kind of own that relationship with these top 100 accounts. Those have been working so well. We've had like 22% open rates from a campaign that we recently did in Australia, and the guys there absolutely love it. And I think the proof's sort of in the pudding when you get a response back, and they're getting emails back from their from what people are not realising are marketing emails. And I think it's just being really clever with what you're saying to people as well. Like when we heard from Yasmin earlier, and talking about having the specific, talking about exactly what they want to hear about, and not being kind of, here's all my solutions, this is everything I do, but more, oh, hey, you're interested in vulnerability management, well, hey, well, this is what we've got, and this is what it does, we understand you're looking at this piece, and getting hyper-targeted into the way you're talking to these people. And that's difficult and challenging on a scale. But you can still be kind of smart with just kind of looking at the top topics that people are interested in. And we've used this to support some of our other things that we're doing. So to support our events, so people are interested in application security, we're inviting them along to application security events. And we also are using this to help identify buying signals among our top accounts as well. So we look at where these top accounts, what pages on our site they're visiting. If they're going to download pages, that rings a load of bells. If they're consuming more than 4 or 5 pieces of content, specifically from our website, then we obviously want to be speaking to these guys. And what the Priority Engine does on top of that, to support that kind of piece that we're doing there, is where they're researching still, but not filling in forms, so we're not getting that contact data, we're being able to cross-reference it with what we've got in the Priority Engine to say, oh, hey, most probably these guys are looking at this because they're looking at these topics on TechTarget, and hey, they're looking at these same things on our website. So we're pretty sure these are the right guys we want to go after. And then we've got what we call BDRs, who sit in that middle piece. So they're the ones that are doing the outbounding to support that. So we first touch with an email, and then we have the outbounding piece. And we're also looking at doing some good old-fashioned direct mail as well. So that will be our next approach with some of these guys. yeah.
Wow, that's great. I think I want to follow up on one thing that you said. As I mentioned, the Rapid7 sales team. I know a lot of the guys in the U.S. and here are, famously kind of aggressive, high volume, high cost approach. And it sounds like you've been able to find ways of talking with them about how to use data. Has that been part of your process all along, or is that something specifically as you brought in out, third-party data that you had to change how you did it? Tell us a little bit about like how you relate to an aggressive sales team with something that's sort of insight or can feel fluffy to like something that's sort of like I just need the appointment, I need the download, right?
Yeah, sure. So we kind of brought sales in early at the beginning. We wanted them to be involved, know exactly what we were doing. These are accounts they care about. And it's really like when we say to them, hey, look, these are the accounts that you want to get into. We know they're looking at this page, we're doing all this stuff on our website, but hey, look, we've got all these new contacts, and these guys are all researching cyber attacks, they're looking at vulnerability management, they're looking at network security. These things are all key for them, and we can also see kind of the solutions and things that are influencing their research and what they're kind of looking at. So that stuff is hot for the sales guys to then really build a nice discussion. So they're not going in and saying, oh, hey, you downloaded, you visited our webcast, or whatever. They're going in with a shaped conversation around what these people actually care about. And that's proved. When they ring them up and speak to them with a shaped discussion, with a topic, with something to go to them with, they're having such a great response back from that, and it's just working. And having that piece, like it's try and test it, and when they keep coming back, it really is bridging that sales and marketing gap as well to really kind of improve our relationship piece there. So it's great. I mean, we sit down all the time to kind of talk about it, to make sure that we're delivering the kind of things that they want to come out, because it's coming out from themselves a lot of the time as well. So, yeah.
Terrific, thanks. I really like that phrase of shaped discussion. I mean, I think that's where marketing in knowledge of products and knowledge of markets can help them to like, how do we do repeatable things, but recognizing they have to use their own intelligence and their own aggressiveness and thoughtfulness. That's really cool. So Mariette, switching over to you is about you've elaborated in the first session about a fairly sophisticated marketing automation system, and when it comes to ABM, it might be interesting to know a little bit about how you've adapted it specifically for that effort, and also when you think about using outside data for ABM, right? You've got cultivated data there. When you bring in outside data for that, what problem does that solve for you, or how do you look at that?
Yeah, if I think about account-based marketing, we're a little bit more early in the journey than some of the other speakers here, because we were like, okay, ABM, we have to do something with it. Let's start a project. And we spoke with sales, and we selected 5 accounts, and we're going to make content. Let's do a workshop, another workshop, and then it's probably a luxury problem, but then the deal was already closed. So we were like, okay, maybe this is not really something that we should do right now in that way. So then we decided, okay, let's look at all the marketing activities that we are already doing. And exactly like Liz said, probably we have already a big scope on account-based marketing. We kind of know what kind of companies we want to go after. And if you think about the business units that I spoke about earlier, a lot of them, for instance, security and also ITBM, business management, we normally sell that only to people that already have ITSM. So we only want to do marketing to audiences that are ServiceNow customer, and then, for example, people are interested in security topics to cross-sell that solution. So we have our customer database. So what we did, we just uploaded that all to Priority Engine and looked at from those accounts who were actively searching for security and added that to our nurture. So that's a way that we're trying to enrich our database with those new audiences within our current customers. So that for me right now is account-based marketing already. But of course, the next phase will be to do exactly what was just said by the experts. Like, how can you have content that's so tailored for people, but how can you still have it written for an industry and then tailored so you can still use it for multiple accounts? That will be our next step. And we started to do it already a little bit with the website. Because we use demand base, and when people fill out a form, demand base adds information like the industry. So when they come back to the website, you can have little banners specifically talking about a case study from their industry, for example. So I think we're making the crawl, walk, run approach, and we're kind of crawling still, but the intent is there. So I think
How are you dealing with it, trying to write content for industry as well? I mean, is that like exploding your content requirements, or how are you approaching it to go incrementally?
I think a lot of them is based on the case study. I think that's really, it's really the case study kind of industry, and then maybe do an infographic around it. The GDPR, we did an infographic on that because it hits our security and the whole ServiceNow platform. So trying to see, what's relevant for multiple industries, and then see if you can just tweak it a little bit by an introduction or adding a customer quote from that industry. I think already can make something a little bit more specific.
Yeah. I from our long content marketing experience, I'd second that the case studies are really most effective as vertical marketing pieces. Everyone thinks, oh, that's a sign that we can do it, but the real response comes from people in that industry. The Church of England is not going to take the Morgan Stanley white paper, as something being very relevant to them. But that's an extreme example, but it is, it's true. So, before I throw it open to any more questions from the audience, Liz, I want to go back to you about, you're seeing some people look at ABM campaigns, and we talked about measuring success, or where do you feel like they're going, and what success are they having with ABM?
Yeah, it's across the board, and it depends on that level of maturity and the crawl, walk, run approach, and where people feel they are on that, and the kind of things that they're measuring at those stages. I think regardless of what the marketing initiative is, be it ABM, be it events, whatever channel, the ultimate test for me and the ultimate measure of success is the revenue, right? The pipeline that comes out of it. So at the highest level, the revenue performance of that particular program. So you're looking at things like deals closed, value of deals closed, number of deals closed, pipeline created, value of pipeline created, volume of pipeline created, within those accounts that you've identified, of course. And those account lists, which could be groupings of those target accounts. I think at a more operational day-to-day level, Nikki mentioned it, the traffic, right? So we have 10 target accounts. Here are all the visitors we've had this week or this month from those target accounts, and sharing that with the sales team so they have full visibility of the activity that's going on in their accounts and what people are looking for. I think for us, in our own implementation of ABM, we're looking at the number of new names acquired, so that contact acquisition piece that was mentioned a moment ago is key as well. But, with reference back to the GDPR session, it's not just about getting those target accounts, it's how many of those, it's not just about getting those contacts, how many of those contacts are marketable. So that's a key metric that we use internally. Number of new names acquired, growth in the marketable database within those target accounts. Those two aspects, overall performance from a pipeline perspective, and the more operational day-to-day things, web traffic, engagement with specific activities within that.